Good evening, everybody. This is the special meeting of the Nottingham Conservation Commission to discuss more of the things that we left off at our last meeting 2 weeks ago. I am the chair, Sam Demerit. To my left is the secretary, Susan Mooney. To my right, and to her left is Paul Meliotis, who's a regular member. To my right is Deb Kimball, who is the vice chair. To her right is Liz Katowski, he was an alternate who will be sitting in for
Cheryl.
Cheryl Smith. And to her right is Leanne Gast, who is a volunteer on the water testing.
No.
Oh, not yet?
Just a volunteer.
Just a volunteer, okay.
As a guest and volunteer.
Okay.
Actually, yes.
I thought we had her down on the list for, okay. Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, one of the things we need to talk about is the extra money for the Tenenco property.
I think that we were all set on that, Sam. I might have misspoken.
Oh.
We did take a vote at the last meeting.
Well, we voted on the 50,000, but I didn't think we knew what the amount was.
We didn't know the amount. So it probably is a good idea to
I
vote
thought we
with
had the
something.
amount at the last
We
meeting.
did.
Well, we
Did we
had,
have the amount last month for the Tenenco? I didn't think we
Sure we
did.
did, yeah, I think she may be right.
We ended up with it somehow. But was there a survey amount that we didn't have included?
well, there was some question on how much the
Yeah,
surveying was going to cost.
Right.
And the
and
original
beyond what
amount
we're-
was something like 9,900 or something like that. And they got it, the last I saw from Bearpaw Regional Greenways was that it was gonna be 8,000.
Okay, I thought it might even end up being less than that because John had said that the entire property had been surveyed as one unit before, but,
Yeah, well, no.
okay. So it has to be resurveyed.
It was moved by Cheryl and seconded by Susan that the Conservation Commission expend $50,000 from the Conservation Fund for the 15 plus or minus acres, map 9, lot 10 on Cast Road for the John Tenenco Trust. 7 votes are in the affirmative.
You know, that was the money to John from the Conservation Fund. It was not the money for the surveying. and-
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, but we did put the additional
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we should vote to
Do we,
extend that
do we know
8,000
what the
for
additional
surveying.
money is now for the?
Well, last time I saw 8,000 was gonna be the cost of the surveying.
Should we do something up to, or what? should
Yeah,
we-
okay, well, we can do up to 8,000.
Is that just for Tenenco? Does it
It's
include
just for
Shippey?
Tenenco.
No.
Not Shippey Rice?
No, Shippey Rice, I think that was all included in theirs, I think.
Okay,
I think it was just the Tenenco one, and I'm not sure that we have a final number on the Kennett property either.
Now, if John's turned out to be more than, it's like 8,100, do we then have to go vote again if we say up to
Yeah.
Probably.
8,000?
Yeah. Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion that we expend up to $8,000 for the surveying for the,
For the
Tenenco property.
Or up to.
is there a second?
second.
A second by Susan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Thank you. Is there anything else we have to do on easements?
So were we all set on the Kimball on the other property, or the Kennard?
The Kennedy property?
Kennard property, yeah.
You wanna just
I
confirm?
think that was to be determined too, and I don't think we've got a final price on that yet.
Because he had asked, I thought it was on that property too. He said, can we go ahead on this? And we said, well, we think we've we've agreed to appropriate, did we ever come up with a specific, it was way back when
Well, yeah, we did,
have the
it was,
funds.
12,500 that we had signified that we needed. We
that included
expected to
surveying?
expend for this, I don't think it included the surveying. Or if it did, the surveying amount has gone up.
Do you
But he
wanna-
hasn't given us a surveying amount.
No, I haven't seen anything from Bear Bar on that.
Okay.
This is based on estimate of survey. The Kenner property, 12,005, based on estimate of survey.
Oh, okay, so, all right, so I
So
guess
what-
we can,
Why don't we see what the final number is from Dan and then vote on it at the next meeting?
okay.
We, meaning Sam.
Okay.
And then, once we get everything firmed up, then we can have a public hearing for all three
Yep.
properties.
Good idea.
Okay,
And then at the same time, you can tell them that we just voted 8,000, up to 8,000 for
Yeah,
the
okay.
Tenenco.
okay.
Celia was interested in when that public hearing was going to be for John's property, and I said probably no sooner than September.
Probably,
That just seems to make sense.
Mhm.
Everybody's back from vacations. And
Do the surveys have to be done prior to the public hearing?
No, no, they
Wow.
just have to be
We have to know what-
contracted,
yeah.
so the money will be expended.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it could also be contingent on the completion of the survey, like we do in planning board, conditional approval, a release of the funds. You know, that's not unheard of.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. Okay, do we want to talk about the kiosks at this point?
Yes, the Moose Plate grant. Did anybody take a look at the links for,
Trail Finder.
no,
No.
for the conservation grant program, the Moose Plate application?
I did back when you had mentioned it, but I hadn't looked it up recently.
Like, I made up one set of hard copies.
So, loose grant.
So did you have a chance to look at the link for the New Hampshire recreational trails grants?
I did, I got that pulled up.
Oh, okay, good. How did
But I
that look?
haven't looked at the application. I mean, it does say like it's it seems like it's very competitive.
Right.
So I don't know how much, let's see.
But the Moose grant is very
I-
competitive
just
too.
one
Yeah,
there.
right,
Is
so
this
there's
one
no,
In there?
No, in here.
Oh.
These are the instructions. Wonder what happened to the application. Is the application in there? And I just stapled everything together?
come on, loose plate.
It's just the instructions.
This is just the instructions that we'll read.
Liz, what did I just pass to you? Did I?
This is just an announcement about, a press release about the Moose
Oh,
Plate
here it
grants.
is. It was buried.
Okay.
So here's the application, just what we can, if we decide to apply for that. And then there's a task budget that goes with it. And then landowner acknowledgement and agreement if we put these on private properties.
So we go through the New Hampshire State Conservation Committee. I mean, I've got the Moose Plate grants
Yeah, I guess that's who
page
funds it.
popped up. It will,
Yeah, right,
Yeah, and there's one.
and
one-
Leanne, did you say you were involved, Sue said you were involved in one with the Historical Society or something?
Yeah, we applied for 3 of them and we got 2, we're waiting to hear about the 3rd.
Oh, really? Oh, through the Moose, Plate or
Yeah, but it's through cultural resources,
Yeah.
not the conservation.
Department of Cultural Resources?
Which is good, because you can't apply from, you I don't know if you apply on behalf of the town, or are you a separate entity?
We would apply on behalf of the town.
Yeah, because you can't apply for more than one per year, but only through cultural resources, so you guys are in a different
Okay.
branch of it.
Yeah.
so
And it does say New Hampshire Conservation, or, okay, municipalities and New Hampshire Conservation Organizations, so we're a municipality, just like we.
We've done two of these before, Deb. You did one and I did one in the past.
I did the coastal,
Oh, you didn't go through Moose Plate?
I did a Moose Plate when I was doing something for, actually, I first tried to apply, I might have tried to apply through the Moose Plate grant for this, and then got redirected to the coastal estuaries
Was that for the
grant.
meter?
Yeah,
The
the
50
meters,
oh,
it was
okay.
coastal estuaries grant.
And then, years ago, I did one that did three things. It was for a newsletter, for PR, to direct people to approve, land use change tax to go into the conservation fund. And then the second part of that was for river signs to be put on all of the rivers. That was Mark West's, desire to do that. And the third one was to have a photo, exhibit at the library, people just taking pictures of nature and then having a big exhibit of nature pictures, all ages and whatever. And I want to say that was in 2002, had to be 2002, because we went to vote at the 2003 town meeting on moving luck funds into the conservation fund at that time.
Okay, this, according to this, you can apply for up to 24,000 per application.
Now, I got some information back from Dan on the kiosk across the street, and the person that did the one across the street, his name is Seth Rowell. He lives in Dover. And Dan remembered that it was $2,000 for the one across the street, but he wanted cedar, they wanted cedar, so it was $2,300. So I got an email this morning. It was difficult to contact Seth because he hadn't replied to my email. His website didn't exist today. So
And he had surgery recently, so.
yeah, he had surgery. I went on the internet, I found him online, and I called him, and he got right back to me by an email, so that was fabulous. I printed this out. He said that he quoted $2,000 for the North River kiosk, plus the $300. He delivered it, he dug the holes, he put it in place. He said, I lost money doing this.
Yeah, he
He
said,
said, off the cuff, I would now estimate each kiosk at $3,000 or 3 for $9,000. So I emailed him back and said, well, does that include the
Cedar?
price of cedar? I didn't hear back. He said that he is very busy this fall, but he might be able to build them this winter, and I emailed him. In my email, I said, we won't be awarded the money if we get it until December anyway, so there's no hurry on this. And then Dan also emailed me today because I asked him if there were additional costs, and he said $500 to $1,000 for layout and printing of the maps.
for each one.
For each one,
kiosk.
yes.
For each kiosk.
For each kiosk. So that gives us a ballpark figure. I would say 10,000 for the kiosks.
Well, it would have to be more than that if we wanted 3 of them.
3
They would-
times 3 is
No.
9.
Where are the?
Right, but then add 1,000
Right, so-
times 3 for the,
Oh, you
the
know.
printing.
Right, but the kiosks themselves would be 10.
yes.
And then another 3,000 or
Yeah.
2,500 for layout and printing.
Okay, so the 3 kiosks are going to be where?
Well, we
That's my
haven't
question.
decided yet, but I thought 3 places that wouldn't ruffle any feathers and wouldn't be premature would be John Trinenko's, the trail right behind the building here that goes along the river.
Why
That's,
would we, okay, nope, we don't need one there. Why do we need one there? It's not,
it's good PR, belongs to the town.
well, I guess it's a short trail. It already has, a Boy Scout sign which is pretty well marked. It's
Uh-huh.
2 signs that they had. So his Eagle project, the young man's Eagle project had, his project was rebuilding that trail. And he did the loop, and he has some little fitness things along the trail, and that's the purpose of that trail. I think because it's his, I mean, that part is his, and then just the straight trail, it's kind of exists, and I don't know if we really want to put some sign when we really had, it exists, but it's kind of like that in
It's a
between.
little informal, and
Yeah,
it may
it's
or may not be a town property, and.
Well, I think we'd have to ask permission.
Yeah, but I think because there's already a sign there when you walk in of the fitness trail, and it had been way back, someone kind of tried to do a fitness trail way back on that again, and he resurrected it. But he's got 2 big signs, one on either side. So I really think it's not necessary I think it would be a waste of our resources to put a sign there. I don't think that would be really needed.
Another place would be up at Mulligan. Take a look at the kiosk up there, and would it be prohibitive to dig that one up and reposition it back in the woods so it is better positioned out of the sun? Or should we just put a new kiosk in the shade?
No, we'll have to check with the Forest Society on that one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then another place, if you don't think that we need one out back, or we could use one out back, would be the Kennard property, right on the Woods Road.
Okay, yeah. That's town-owned, so.
Yeah.
If necessary, we could, well, if we have the funds, and we can't do one of the others, we've got the Miriam Daggett property too.
Yeah, yeah. I would hesitate to move forward on the new Pawtuckaway Woods project, where there's been a lot of sensitive species documented out there. And to open it up to the public at this time is not appropriate.
And we don't really have any trail.
There's no trail, we haven't heard that, there's nothing
That's
going
correct.
on.
That's
like
correct.
that.
I mean, at some point, we need to move forward on this project. Whether we do something first and then something else second, or we do things concurrently, it's best to start moving forward.
The property at, Tuninco property has a trail on it already, and
Yes.
it's unfortunate Kristen wasn't here because she could, explain more. But I actually, Seth is Lauren's son.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of 3 boys, and he did this, and Dan was very happy with it, but he happened to be up with his grandkids on Sunday, and I asked him, because you had said you were trying to get a hold of him, and he asked where the areas might be, but he did say that he doesn't have equipment to dig
He does
complicated.
not?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
would
they
have
take
to
'em by
rent
hand.
it, so if you used Mulligan and you had to move it, you would have difficulty moving it back up against the wood because of the granite that's underneath there, and you don't know what you're gonna run into. But I suspect that you could do something at these others, and he would do a really quality job, because they at Bear Paw were really happy
They
with
were,
what.
Dan was very
And
pleased.
he gave him, he actually lost money, but he wanted to do it because he was a fan of Bear Paw, and had, when he got married, he had donated, I think $1,000 or something to Bear Paw as a,
Oh,
yeah, so he's been a supporter of Bear Paw for a long time. But I think one of the things is that it gets a lot more complicated. You could put a nice kiosk like they did up there in several other places and get a good reception, and it would help you promote the places that you
Yeah,
wanna,
that people could walk,
that
yeah.
people could walk, and you could get a little bit better use out of the properties that, people don't know about or whatever.
Well, I
So-
think too, having the model that Bear Paw has put up would be a good model to replicate throughout Nottingham, because people will see the kiosk and go, oh, this is a public walkway to enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's open to the public.
Right.
Need to be sure there's parking at any trailhead, so that,
Well, generally you can park along the road.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
As
fishermen
long
are
as your
using.
car is out, I mean, I think it has to be parking where the car can easily pull off. Because I know I won't go to a place where if there's no visible parking and I see it's like, well, this is look pretty iffy, I don't want my car sticking out in the road and.
Well, Paul and I have walked the Nottingham Pawtuckaway Woods, and we were able to pull off.
Yeah.
We wandered off.
There's a
and
couple of
you've been there a
places
couple
where they
times.
have a little thing, but the, people are hunting in there, there's a deer blind, and so they use that, and it lets people know that you can park there, but I think if you're gonna put a kiosk, you do have to have a little bit of space,
A little
but
bit to
particularly the ones
accommodate
that,
it.
like the North River, which is a very popular fishing spot. There's usually 4 or 5 cars right on, next to the town gravel area there. And they all park on that road because they have to leave their car somewhere.
Mhm.
And the sports activities fill up even the Mulligan area. So you would have to make some kind of an arrangement to
Yeah.
have a little place to put at least 3 cars so that, people could go in there and,
Remember the Kendrick property was open, you could just drive in on that
Well,
logging road.
that's his, the logging road. You mean the horse and ATV trail that goes up through there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We can take a look, and
Well,
they might
we
just
could-
take some brush clearing, and that's
Yeah.
it.
because when we parked it, to walk it, we parked on his cousin's property.
Yeah, Michael's?
No, the other one, on the same side as
Oh, yeah, further down?
Yeah.
Okay.
his other cousin. I think it was a cousin. Okay, so do we want to go ahead and start filling this thing out?
Well, do we have like 3 places that
I
we should
think that's,
investigate?
if you get 3 places that then you can start to work with submitting it and talking to Seth and find out what he can do and what he can't. And then you can
We need
schedule
permission
them.
from landowners to
Yeah,
do
you'll
that.
have to go through a whole step and then get it put together. And by then, you'll have some idea of what they'll approve and what they won't. Because if they said, 3 proposals, you said 3, and then you got 2 approved, it may
Well,
be,
there were 3 different ones we applied for.
right,
This would be one proposal for the 3
3
key.
areas.
Yeah, for the whole project.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we can go up
And
to.
I don't
up
know
to-
what the competition is, it may be that there's a lot of people
Yeah.
They
submitting.
award a lot of
Says
different
there's
grants.
238,000 available for the, for this one. for the-
Mhm.
Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that the PLIA may be applying for a Moose Plate grant.
Mm.
Does that,
No,
Okay.
it's just each organization.
okay,
Yeah, so you're
that's what I was hoping.
separate, you're not a municipality, you're a conservation organization, would you consider yourself
Oh, yeah.
501?
It is a 501.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then we'd be working
All right, so.
as a municipality. So here's some that have been put: Odeon Point State Park Restoration, Crowling Green Initiative at Goss Farm, I don't know what that is. Burley
That's- yeah,
Property
that's in Rye.
Conservation,
Yeah,
that's that Burley Farm that, the Southeast Land Trust has. I don't know.
What's their criteria? Is there any?
Do you want to
look
just
that
pass
up.
that along? That's the application.
Okay.
And then there's also instructions that go with it too.
This is the instructions.
Leon, I'll send you the link, okay? Or you can just go
Yeah, I
to
can,
this
I'm sure.
website, it's right there.
Yeah.
But generally, they want matching funds, but you
That's
can
matching,
do the matching in hours. The thing is, I don't know how much man-hours go for these days?
Well, I think they saw something on there like $24
A person?
24 something an hour.
20, okay.
Well, I do have a suggestion, which is if Seth doesn't really have the equipment to do the installation, it sounded like that was rather difficult for him before, digging the post holes and all that. Is that something that we could get some help from the highway department on, where they would have
Fine.
equipment and that could be our match for
Possibly,
the
yeah.
cost of the
That could
actual
very well
kiosks?
be, yes, yeah, installation.
Yeah. So we would just order the,
And they might be able to do a little parking place too,
yes,
particularly if these are town-owned properties.
exactly. That
So-
seems like that would be a good way to do the match and also perform some tasks that Seth would have.
And,
More difficulty with.
parking area.
He could just focus on the kiosks themselves.
Yeah.
I can't pull up, how'd you get to the application? I can't, I'm on this site.
Found that a little confusing on the site as well.
Yeah, it's like, it
What-
tells me how much is available, it has these letters to announce it.
And all the grants that have been awarded in the
Yeah, all the
past.
grants that have been awarded, public, but I don't know.
What do you
here.
have for header at the top?
This State Conservation Committee, though, I'm trying to get to the moose, and just tells you about the moose plate grants. So I clicked here, and I've clicked there.
Maybe if you did,
Conservation Grant Program right over there.
Okay, all right, there's just too many little places to go.
And then there's a place where,
Is it on the bottom?
yeah, right here, application instructions,
Okay.
form, budget tables, landowner consent.
All right.
That's what I
All right,
made paper copies.
so instructions.
Some of what you were looking for is in this first thing, which is, it tells you what the, on the bottom there, see, there's a whole bunch of areas
Yeah, it's eligible.
that it will give you what some of the options are for suitable areas.
So you're looking for wildlife habitat? Are you is that the one you're focused on for the kiosks? Creating,
No.
restoring, enhancing, managing, and protecting?
Some of them, they're down further, are general conservation grants. No, I think they're on that same one, but see, there's a whole bunch of areas.
So we have to pick a category, yeah.
Yeah, you pick a category and then you,
Land conservation,
right, that's what some of it is.
That's land,
best management, I guess the best one would be land conservation.
There's another one below that, isn't
but
there,
they
too?
do award a
'Cause
lot of grants for actually conserving land, putting
Right,
it toward
right.
the cost of the easement, which is more what that is. And which may be why Dan was trying to direct us to the recreational trails grant.
Because he doesn't
They,
think ours, this can
Could-
fit.
They
Yeah.
used, they applied, I think they applied for a moose plate grant for the Sweetser property, back
Yeah.
when it
Okay,
was
hold on.
confidential.
Ineligible, hold on.
And they applied for 20 and they
Okay,
only got a
wait,
10.
wait.
Conservation.
Examples of ineligible projects, new trail construction and interpretive signage.
Okay, so it does not fit.
Oh, I see.
Where this
Interpretive
new
signage.
Materials that are not
is
directly
already
connected
got
to
a
the
trail.
on the ground.
Right.
You could,
So-
That
you
takes care
could
of
use
that.
that under
Yeah.
land
So we'd have to
conservation.
go to
So
that
because
I
it's a
other one.
new-
think the one
Dan
that
Dan mentioned.
he had mentioned is,
The trails.
the New Hampshire State Parks Recreation Trails Program Guidelines. This is a federally funded competitive grant program to develop and maintain recreational trails and trail-related activities for motorized and non-motorized recreational trail uses. Funding is administered by the Federal Highway Administration.
Deb, can you give me the name of the organization again, please?
New Hampshire State Parks.org.
What's the program?
But it says also motorized on that.
Well, it's for anything. I mean, so that includes the state park trails, because the state park trails, you can have a snowmobile go down, right? That's motorized. So it has to include, this is all
Some of the properties
inclusive.
like Mulligan, it has a restriction.
I know, but you can say,
restrict.
it
Right.
says for motorized and non-motorized recreational trail uses. So you could say, we have non-motorized trails.
We have,
Well, we
yeah.
gotta
we have
read
trails of
further, we
non-
can't just
motorized
say,
or street.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all inclusive.
Recreational Trails Program, that's what
You
I
don't have
Recreational
to
Trails Program.
open them up to, not, to motorized.
Right.
The problem is you can't stop them. That's why people are using the Mulligan trails now on ATVs and
All right,
snowmobiles,
so-
and no one's using, and no one is able to enforce it. They just use
So
it.
here's what the funds can be used for. Maintenance and restoration of existing trails, development and rehabilitation of trailside and trailhead facilities.
Excellent.
So this would be something like if we wanted to put a parking area in or something like that, there's a trailhead facility, or at least make a little area. Purchase and lease of trail construction and maintenance equipment. Okay. Construction of new trails. Educational projects for trail safety and/or environmental education. Ineligible projects. All right, so ineligible would be feasibility studies, project planning, construction of paths or sidewalks along public roads, paving of trails, purchase of equipment not directly
Not
needed
directly
for
needed.
trail projects, purchase of small power tools, chainsaws, projects already completed or in progress,
I don't know.
for-profit trail systems and trail systems that charge a user fee.
Can municipalities apply for it?
So municipalities can apply. Who can apply? Municipalities, state agencies, federal agencies, educational institutions and universities, nonprofit organizations, and even private organizations registered with the New Hampshire Secretary of State.
To the point you were making, Paul, it does say farther down in there that 30% of the appropriated money goes to motorized trail projects, 30% for non-motorized, and 40% for diversified projects shared by one or more users in both the motorized and non-motorized
There it
categories.
is.
So
So
what's
there's
the
only
30%?
30% that's for non-motorized use strictly.
We're not asking for a lot of money, though.
No, we're
What's,
not.
what's their budget, Deb?
I don't know, let's see.
And then,
Grant limits, well, here's the limits. I don't know what the budget is, but here's the limits, maybe. Applicants may submit a request for grants between $8,000 and $80,000.
ooh, 80,000.
Yeah, for A, B, C, D projects. That was the ones that we had the list. That was the maintenance and all the ones that I listed, because E is out, A through D. And then G, educational projects for trail safety, has a different amount. And that's between, so for G, the educational piece, the grant amount is between $3,000 and $10,000. Each sponsoring organization may submit up to 2 applications that may not request more than $80,000. And I don't know what their budget is, because if you've got a bunch of people requesting $80,000, it's gonna go quick, whatever they got. If they have 200,000 or something, you know.
Doesn't say anything about restrictions on how long the trail has to be, because, you know, a trail that's like short, like North River, is, they're not gonna invest large amounts of money when the other choices are much larger.
But then
Right.
again, it might be used by more people because it's short and convenient.
But we're not doing the North River.
Yeah, the use,
You know, the
the use
usage
of.
would
What about, but John Chernyanko, I mean, it's not a big trail system, but it's,
Deb, what's the grant cycle? What applications are due for the next cycle
I
when?
don't know, I'm looking.
Does say the match only has to be 20%.
Oh,
Equipment, steel, and iron purchased for a project must be American-made. That must be something new. Certificate from the manufacturer.
Rate for unskilled labor is $23.79 an hour.
oh my God.
Unskilled. Wow.
That's more than substitute teaching.
It's more than scoring at measured
So you
preference.
can match with the labor with them too?
Right.
You and I are hired, Sam. Well, this gives us something to download and take a look at,
Yeah,
to work at for the next meeting. And in the meantime, you can check out
Well, I
Parking?
think, yeah, so topographical map of project area, I guess, I'm not quite sure we're a perfect fit for this one either, though, because this, for what we want, which is just signage, I think the sign plus establishing a parking area and/or new trails, this is really for, I think, if we're looking at establishing trails.
Well, we're not, we're just putting up kiosk
know.
and parking.
That's, I think, gonna limit us. I mean, just glancing at this, I think that the focus is trails and access to trails. And if, I think like Paul mentioned, if you have a good trail system, but you didn't have a lot of maybe that educational piece in the kiosk, then yes. So do we have lots of trails at Kennard? Or
Yeah.
we have, John Ternyanko is probably the only one, and the Mulligan redoing the sign.
And then we've got the Kennard Woods Road.
How long is that trail?
I don't know, I haven't walked it since we got it.
Before we get too far, I need to
It
let you
goes-
know, we
I think it
missed the
connects with-
application deadline.
Okay.
Okay, for this year, what is
Yeah,
it?
it's, the application deadline this year was June 23rd,
And it's only once a year.
and it's only once a
There
year.
we go.
But we can look at this and be working on something over the winter.
Yeah, and we can work on
for-
trails at
for
the
next-
same time.
And yeah, really try to get a firm idea of what we want to do.
I think it's
at
gonna
that
take us a while to get our heads wrapped around for trails. It's not something we could kick around in a couple weeks. What are our needs, because we have mentioned that, the trails and having somebody do some trails for us on one of the properties. And looking at which one, like Kennard, is, what shape are they in? And then, of course, signage to go along with that. And I think this would allow us to do that. But I think we'd have to have all our ducks in a row of, and really look into this of what the,
They didn't have, putting the trails in, that wasn't part of their, you already have.
oh,
to
it does
the
have,
trails.
you can put in new trails.
So maybe you focus on one area.
Right, it sounds like we
Apply
would have to
for-
focus on, instead of just saying we want to put sign heads up in 3 areas, I think we'd be focusing on one area.
Well, I think John could use a sign, and that would be a place where he could put his restrictions on.
But I guess what goes
Passage.
along with this is,
Why do we have to restrict to just one side?
I think what she's saying is that we would have to probably either improve or develop a trail
Yeah.
on John's property.
Mm-hmm.
He already has a trail there, but I don't know if it,
Can stand some improvement?
The signs and maybe a really good map of the area that would not only go on the kiosk, but
and I think like with the educational projects for trail safety and or environmental education, would be putting up signs of, this is an open area, or what kind of wildlife, you could actually put little signage
Different
through a place
habitats.
of, here's a habitat, here's some wildlife you might expect to see here. There's another sign, here's
Right.
some tree, here's the flora and fauna of, that's, you would expect to see. Kind of like when you're going to a, any, national park, or even, some other places that they'll have some nice interpretive signs. And some of them are just regular conservation properties that will have some, like, really nice signs that I have seen at some conservation-funded properties open up to the public. Well, they have over this overlook, you will see blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So maybe we do something like that at one of the properties, and maybe it is John's, or maybe it's another one, I don't know. Which one has the most diverse, we might be looking at which one has the most diverse.
Well, John's property has a lot of diverse wildlife, but it's, you can't really start something like that. That's more down the road. If you put this kiosks up, then you can go ahead and, organize a separate initiative, probably even a separate grant to do those kind of things, and you can expand the trail more, because John has part of a trail that goes down to like the other person's property that has that marsh on it
Yeah.
around the edge. And so you could easily do a pretty good trail, and it's a large section of property in an area that the local people, and there's houses all up in there, and they want somewhere to go, and that's been the problem in the past. But I think we could go ahead with a single entry, but I think you really need to submit the grant for 3 places and then see what gets approved, what you do get, and then you can start to do 1 or 2 and give whoever is doing it an idea. Well, these are the 3 sites we're looking at, maybe. So if you pick 3 sites, then you can only get part of it. Whatever happens, you have at least 1 that you're targeting. But I think having a multiple will give you some background. And I think North River already has a kiosk, so you could do some of those development things under that same response.
Well, I see the 3 that I'm thinking of, the Kennard, Merriam Daggett, and John's,
Right,
having 3 different approaches.
Right.
Because they're all at different stages of trail
right,
development, trail initiation, trail maintenance. So for
Right.
Kennard, we can take a look and see if the town could do installation in a small parking area and see what there is for a trail out there. I think there's a Woods Road, that's a giant block of property out there. It's 1,400 acres. And
well,
this,
see, that's what probably would be better, because,
Not the Kennard. piece.
not the Kennard, Kennard's
Yeah,
only
Kennard,
30,
About 30, leading into the,
but it's all,
But it's connected to.
yes,
Right.
and it's
Is
all
that,
Woods Roads out there, it's beautiful.
but they're all on private, is that like Fernal land?
Yes, Fernal land, yeah. But people walk it anyway. But we wouldn't put that on the kiosk. And then the Merriam Daggett, you know, you and I have walked along the river down there, Deb, where you took pictures, and very easily a trail could go in there.
Is that the one on Freeman Hall?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
across from the Kimball.
How
And
much-
then John's would be
we went
trail
same.
improvement and education. So like 3 different things going, and then see
Yeah.
what shakes out.
and you could use,
It goes
You
behind
could
those
use
2
that
houses that are
property.
on Freeman Hall
is it
before you get up to
Kennard
Jabig
property?
Road.
You
And
could
it
use
comes
that,
out.
that's opposite the Kimball.
I know
You
you've
could
seen
use that
seen our,
to design
through to Priest.
a trail
Hmm?
that goes
through to
in
Priest.
there.
yeah, it goes, you
Because
know,
as you
up to
said,
Priest, and
there's a
actually
lot
goes
of
down,
Territory.
partly down
It's,
Priest Road.
the road, the Merriam Daggett is
is the what's
Right.
opposite Kimball.
Right,
Okay,
because that one, you could actually have a nice little interpretive trail in there. And once you got the kiosk up,
But where do you park?
even just a couple of,
You can
well,
park
there
it
is
full.
parking on that road that goes along the
Priest
edge.
Road?
Yeah, Priest Road.
Yeah, and we could put a
So
lot in there.
you could put a kiosk there, and they could access either the Kimball property or the other one, and you could develop it as time went on for some sort of interpretive thing, which the local people could use, because that's an area that people do
Yeah.
wanna,
And that would be a
Walk the-
short
walk
little
the
trail
road.
around the wetland there.
right. And it's at least a starting point to reaching out and doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. It seems like we'd be better off focusing on one area, and if we could have like a shared parking area and develop a trail along the Merriam Daggett, and then also on the Kimball.
Because Kimball is owned by Bear Park, so it's not our property, so
Oh, it's owned by them, that's right.
Mm.
they own it and we are the
We're the
easement.
backup.
No, we're the easement holder.
The easement holder.
We
So they don't have
originally-
a sign or, there's no real sign or anything there.
No, they're just
No.
medallions.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
and,
on a lot of ours, there's no, and I know in other areas, when an easement goes up, there's usually some kind of sign that indicates what it is, whether it's for access or not, or this has been, preserved, there's no access, but here's an overlook, we ask you not to walk on this because of,
Lee has several trailheads like that. No dogs allowed. There's no real parking available. Just little small signage.
Paul brought up an important point earlier about the more that we let it be known where these places are and we try to make them accessible, there is the issue of enforcement of, and I'm not sure, I mean, I would love to see Mulligan really available more accessible, better signage, a map, good map. Haven't ventured very far into there because of that, but I.
Well, Celia's been,
But
yeah.
you say, I mean, hunters use these properties. They're killing the wildlife.
Well,
I shouldn't put it that way, but you know what I'm
no,
saying.
no, I mean, it's,
Yeah, they're managing the
it's,
wildlife.
that
Yeah, but-
place
but
is so
people-
packed with hunters in the fall.
Right, but the rest
There's
of
no-
the,
The rest of the year,
The
yeah,
rest
most
of
of
the
us,
year,
if you're gonna
those
go
of
out, you
us
wear
would like
hunter
to-
orange in Nottingham, and,
Well, it's,
you know.
it's true, but I mean, you have
But
to
the
look
rest
at
of the
the
year, you're
numbers of people that are using that trail. And that means that opening the Mulligan Forest or making a new trail into Mulligan Forest, there's already a lot of people in there, and Celia said
right,
in
but
her
I'm saying
email.
those are
But it
a lot of
is,
hunters, those
but-
of us who wanna
Yeah.
just go in for other
but you
reasons.
can.
Oh, I know, I'm
Yeah.
saying that I
You
don't
can,
And the
but-
know.
town did,
The
we
trail
took, okay,
system.
hold on.
Yeah.
The town, it is a town, I mean, the town put a lot of money towards that to making it, an easement. And-
We're still paying off the bond.
And we're still paying that off, so I think
This is the Mulligan Forest, Park,
Mulligan Forest,
which is,
what was it, $875,000?
right, but it was,
Bond for.
a lot of people put into that live on that road, so they could do it. And in fact, they built that parking lot.
But what about people on the other side? Like, if I wanna go down, I can go down and park, and I certainly will use it. And if someone's new in town and finds out through something, they can go down and use it. I mean, it
Yeah,
is
they
open
do.
for use, and most people use it properly. There's always gonna be, no matter where we are, people doing crazy things. Even your neighbor, now that they have fireworks goes off. I could go on and on about fireworks, right? I mean, we're always gonna have somebody,
Well, if somebody's in there target shooting with an automatic rifle,
Well,
and you're
then-
walking in there, you're not gonna feel,
I don't think someone should be target shooting in there. I don't
They
think
are.
that's what the Fernal.
they are, I live up there.
Well, then you could
Yeah.
probably lodge a complaint to the police.
You
to say-
can, but it's like a lot of things. It's the people that are doing it, and it's hard to enforce it.
Mm.
And so the only thing I'm suggesting is that you really have to be careful,
But
because when you
maybe
put a
this is
public,
where,
when you put a public
But-
facility that
okay.
has a
Can I just say
trace.
something? Just say something? John and his son and several of us on the Conservation Commission went out and did trail work through Mulligan. We cleared a long trail.
Yeah.
And so the family at that time was very anxious to open up a trail for the public to use. And all it needed at that time was just signage or paint to mark the trail. And that was it. That was 10 years ago.
Time to do that. I got a call last week from the chair of the Conservation Commission in Raymond, wanting to know what we had for information that I could give her so she could take a walk on the Mulligan Forest. And it was really unfortunate that I couldn't say, oh, here's where you should go.
It's not been
Because-
kept up. It
Right.
really hasn't.
yeah.
So
So
we
maybe
need to
that should
attend
be
to
a big
Yeah.
priority.
There's a big road through there, and anybody that wants to go in there and walk can park there. There's often 8 to 12 vehicles in there, even close to in the night. So all those people are using it. And the Mulligan Forest has a kiosk. You
But
can
not
go in and
very,
use it.
I haven't been there in a while. How legible is that kiosk these days?
It actually isn't any trouble. There's a big gate there.
No, the kiosk, how, can you read it? Last I knew, we couldn't
But
read
wasn't
the,
the glass broken or the?
yeah,
And
we
the-
couldn't
and the
read the
map was
map.
faded.
And the
The
map was
map
It was
read the
faded.
faded
map,
enough,
so-
but, I mean,
And are there any, maybe, and we could talk to the Fernalds as well, but a reminder of the rules, maybe this would help as well. There's no this, there's no that, and maybe with a fresh map and
And rules.
that might help a little bit.
well, Celia's been in there doing, plan inventories or whatever, I guess. I don't know who was she doing this for, Bear Paw?
Probably for the New England Wildflower Society rare plant
Right,
inventory.
but she was talking about trails And,
That's something different then.
yeah, so do we know what, trails she was using?
She probably used the ones that we helped clear with Jim Fernald and his son.
Right, which is the road
But
itself?
I don't know this communication
Yeah,
that you have from Celia, what the content was.
well, it was something with Mark West. They were marking a trail that might be used for the trail finder. And so if I'm getting this email, you must be getting it too, because it was to the Conservation Commission. Was,
I don't remember that.
and she commented the fact that the SUV sign had been turned around backwards, and so she turned it back.
Oh, I remember that one.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah. I
it's
can't
out
remember all
there.
the content.
Right, but all I'm saying is, if we're doing something there, we should know what we're doing, and I don't know what quite they're trying to do in terms of making a trail, or where she went. So I think if we're doing, we should all do it together.
Well, number one, the Mulligan Forest easement is held by the Forest Society.
Right,
So if they went in there doing something, I'm assuming that they had permission from the Fernals.
exactly.
So if that's the case, then we'll see what they're doing and go from there.
Right.
But none of us have anything tangible to offer
Well,
on
if
that
you're talking
point.
about moving the kiosks or making the kiosks better.
Yeah, we're just having a discussion to see what's feasible, and
Right.
then at this point, we'll
Right.
go out and see, number one, if it needs to be done.
Right,
Number two, if we need to provide parking, trail upkeep, get permission from the landowner,
Mm.
see what they want. And this is just all an initial discussion.
well, anybody can go in the Mulligan Forest now, anytime, and people do. And there's a lot of people using that. Most of the people that are using it are the people who live on that road, and it's 5-6 miles.
Stevens
So
Hill.
there's a lot of people up there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of traffic, people walking and walking dogs, and they're doing it almost every day. So there is a need for it. The only thing I would say is the whole character of the place changes in the fall. So if you're really doing that, and there is turkey hunting,
Well, it does say, I
Yeah.
mean, when you just open up the town's, from the town website, the Mulligan Forest, I'm sure, Sue, did you help write this up, the Mulligan or did,
It's a
Spin it.
description.
yeah, the
of-
description
property.
of the property, where it is.
Spin
So and it says on it, there are a few restrictions, no motorized vehicles of any type, no horses, no camping, no fires.
I think that when Dawn redid the town website, she reached out and had people write little things.
Okay.
Links. I don't remember doing that one, but I did some other
Okay.
ones, like volunteering and activities. And then for General Greenway, I did,
Yeah, because they're all on here, but this does say the area has logging roads that can be used for hiking, cross-country skiing. It is open to hunters and fishermen.
But don't
While
they
in the-
drive trucks in there?
well, they do.
And it does say that on the big thing, it will say at certain times of the year, there will be timber harvest taking place on the property. At these times, certain paths may be closed to public traffic for safety purposes. Signs will be posted to alert people.
I don't know about trucks driving in. They might do that.
Well, they would be on the,
No, private people that don't own that.
Well, it says-
You've
No.
seen
says
trucks,
no-
you say
Yeah, because there's a
ATVs go
gate
in
where
there?
you'd have to-
the trucks that are logging in there
Right, but the
Oh,
one,
yeah,
have to
logging
have
trucks.
access.
but hunters'
Yeah.
trucks,
And there's a big metal
gate.
gate,
right,
You can't
and
get a
they tell
vehicle
you
through.
don't park there, but everybody parks there anyway.
right, but
And
you've
so,
not seen people, hunters, driving in on the roads with their pickup trucks.
yeah, I have seen both trucks, and also the road that you're
How did
talking.
they get through the gate?
They
get
can go
around that
under the gate if your vehicle, that is a long bar, it's a pipe,
Yeah.
And so it's like that. So you can drive an SUV right under that.
Under that, and they are going on that road.
And ski-mobiles as well. They have, ski-mobiles that they use. But they have access to the power line road now, which the power line road goes almost all the way to the North River.
Yeah.
So, but you have a problem with that because that's used not only for hunting and fishing, but a lot of people use it, and it's big.
So I wonder,
You could use that road, but you'd have to get the Eversource, permission from Eversource.
yeah, you're not supposed to.
And they have their trucks in there.
They're not gonna want.
They put new poles in.
Yeah, because those roads are really for the power line people, technically.
Should we think about having a field trip to Mulligan and walk as much of it as we can? I'd really like to
Yeah.
have the commission go out and give it a
It's been a while since
look
we've been
and
there as
see the trail that
Well,
you had cleared.
Kristen had talked about doing a walk in the woods with the public, which was initially what the walk at, the North River Preserve was supposed to be, probably in the fall.
We did a winter walk to Mulligan a
But
while
she was
ago.
talking about a spring or a summer or a fall walk.
I'm thinking something for us to
Yeah.
evaluate what we might want to do.
Right, I think you're right, go there and
And
take a
then
look
if
at
you
the
wanted to have a
kiosks, the
follow-up,
road, yeah.
I'd like
walk
to,
through
So
a
it's not
part of
for
it.
wildlife or anything, it's really
like
just
to
to
do
look
the-
at, what's the state of the trails?
What's the state, wait,
What
what
does
are the
this
states?
gate look like? Does it look like any car can go through it? What does the kiosk look like?
But
What
also the other
management
properties as
issues
well,
do
Deb.
we,
you know, the Miriam Daggett, doesn't have to be a long trail. Look at the, Kennard property, you know, and then just take inventory as to what's out there.
I think we need to do that.
You know, that's certainly on the list.
And I think that'll help us to put together better applications
But
later.
also, before we do
Yeah.
that, we need to speak to the people who own this.
Yeah.
And say, we are thinking of applying for a grant to do trail improvement. We're gonna be taking a walk out onto the properties with your permission, just to see what might be feasible. And the town owns the Kennard and the Miriam Daggett, and that's something that I can check here.
Yep.
And then someone can check with, John, is he, I don't even know if he's in Italy right
Yeah, that's a
Or
good
with
question.
Celia.
I don't know, but Celia would know.
now. And then certainly with Mulligan, someone would need to get in touch with the,
Forest Society.
Forest Society
well, they
Or,
don't know.
and the firm.
and the
Yeah,
firms.
yeah, Jim and Deb and, Rick, or one of them in
Or
making
just
it
Jim.
touch.
I don't think we have to contact all, maybe.
Just to go for a walk on the
I mean,
property,
we
don't
can
have to
go,
contact
we can go for a
them.
walk anytime, but if we wanted to apply for a grant, we don't
Then
have to,
we would-
we don't
then
have
we
to,
would
I mean, we can just
run
go
it.
for a walk, it's public access, to Mulligan.
That's well,
But
I'm
if
talking
we-
about.
Right, but
if
I
we
think
want to
I
do
think if we're
anything-
upfront about, we wanna take a walk because we're thinking of improving trails on
Yeah.
They
conservation.
might support it. They might
Even if we
support
don't
it.
Yeah.
decide to improve trails, we should take a walk there so that we're
Yes.
acquainted with it and the management issues, et
But
cetera.
the polite thing to do is to ask
But it's-
permission and
Yeah,
just
I
let them
think
know.
it's polite to ask permission. I also think that it's, you have to think about insect season too, because you may wanna go up in there, but when the deer flies are out like they have
Oh, I'm
been,
sure they're pretty bad up there.
yeah, I mean, you really can't, walk very far. I mean, you may have limits about the temp, and you may have limits about the mosquitoes and whatever.
Like today, actually, wouldn't have been a bad day to.
Today was actually a good day, but
I know when it's
of course, you're
raining.
not gonna see as much on a day like that, but,
Yeah.
I do think that there is a lot of public interest in it. And what I was talking about in the fall is a combination of turkey hunters and fish and game enforcement people. And that road is absolutely packed with fish and game people going up on
Really?
radios and
Really?
That-
Which
yeah,
road?
that's
The Mulligan, in the Mulligan?
Mulligan, because
Really?
it's one of the best areas to hunt. And
Ah.
everybody from Epping, everybody from Raymond,
Hmm.
they're all up in there. And so at certain times,
Well, I mean, the family
Fertles
does
don't hunt
have
there
it.
anymore because it's so packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and-
mean, it is open, it's publicly open to hunting, it does say that on the thing.
Well,
so
it's not that anybody, it's that,
It's what
even
it
the
is.
people that walk their dogs there every day put the orange on them, and there's enough
I mean, even
traffic.
if you go to Pawtuckaway, you can hunt in Pawtuckaway, so you gotta wear orange in Pawtuckaway. And that's a state park, but people hunt there.
Well, I'm
you
not,
hunt anywhere.
I'm not suggesting that Mulligan shouldn't be open to hunting. I don't think that's possible. It's really packed. You're not gonna stop hunting.
No, I'm not
just
saying, I'm just saying
saying,
it's what it
like,
is, right?
yeah.
It's what it is, and this is,
But it's a really nice natural area. It's got a lot of potential for.
but off-season is the time to go.
Yeah, and you've got to really, you can go in there and just take a quick look, but it takes a while to really
I
see
used to go
what's there.
cross-country when I was, before I had all my little injuries, I used to go cross-country skiing there quite a bit. And that was a nice time, because there was never more than a few cars parked there, and this was
Yeah.
like 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Can we move on,
Yeah.
please? What I propose is I'll contact the deed holders of these 4 properties and just say that we're interested in applying for a grant on trail making or enhancement or improvement. And then at the meeting on August 14th, we can make a schedule for going out and visiting these properties? Or did you want to do that before?
I would love to take a walk some point in August,
Okay,
if somebody wanted to go with me.
I'm available until the 16th of August. And then not available again until after, until the last week. So I can email these people and then let you know. Do you want to pick a couple dates
I have
now?
a pretty busy calendar, but I could do either it looks like the 7th or the 10th of August.
You want to do both for all 4 properties?
No, I'd just kind of like to, let's start with one.
Okay. Can anybody else make the 7th?
And I don't really
Did you-
know.
Did you want to do Mulligan first?
Yeah, I'd really like to walk at Mulligan with some of the conservation commissioners who know the property, since I came in after it had been
Okay.
acquired and don't really know the history.
And there's a
I've just walked a little
cemetery
ways
in
in there, and Leanne can show us the cemetery.
No, I have to find it.
Oh, there's a
There's a
cemetery.
There's a cellar hole out there on the top of the hill,
Yeah.
and that might be right near the cemetery.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one cemetery we can't get to. 'cause we
Oh,
don't
really?
know I can't know, we don't know exactly where.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Why can't you
I
get
wonder
there?
if Celia knows.
here by the pond.
Yeah, is it waterlogged?
Oh, that's way in there.
Oh,
No,
wow.
it's just nobody's,
Yeah.
has gone in that far.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Do you have a time, Liz? It's good? 7th?
Monday the 7th, probably like 9 o'clock or something.
9 a.m.? Okay,
Would
Mulligan.
that work?
Yeah, I can't, August is a bad month for me, so I know that, beginning of August.
I'm not sure I'm even gonna be here.
I
The only
could go.
time-
I'd go.
Yeah.
You want to go, Leanne?
Sure.
Okay. I'll just send out an email to everybody.
Yeah,
And what
maybe-
I'll do
maybe
is I'll
Celia-
contact,
You need to contact them. I just
Well,
like to
maybe include
familiarize
Celia.
ourselves with this.
Celia might be, she's good with stuff and she knows the trails fairly well.
well, the
so
thing is, if we're going
Celia's
to
a past member, but she's really good
if
with,
we're going to be applying for a grant,
But we might
then
or might
other
not
people
include
need
that
to
in
know
it.
what they look like.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I'm just saying, let's go walk it and then
Yeah.
say, is this one we want to include in our grant? As a second thing, and then if we do, talk to them with that in mind.
yeah.
But we could tell them that right up front and then decide that we don't want to do anything.
That's
And I don't
true.
want them to be disappointed or
Yeah, they won't be.
whatever.
And it might be an impetus for them to say, oh, yeah, we've been meaning to do that.
it might be just looking at the state of the trails and we heard, like for Mulligan, we heard, we know the sign's been faded and we were looking at,
So Deb, is there a time that you would like to go for a walk?
well, the only times that I will be around, that probably the 13th to 14th, because 14th is our meeting, and the 13th I had a fiber thing going on, so the 14th, but then you're taking Sue's taking off. then.
I'm taking off on the
Yeah, I
17th.
can't do those
17th,
dates, because my
Okay,
mom's having
so those are
surgery.
my 2 days. I know,
The
sorry,
10th?
I'm
Did
very
that-
limited.
Did that work for anybody besides me?
It does for me. But Deb said only the 13th and 14th.
Yeah, since I've been in Nottingham so much, I have to spend more time up in Sedgwick. And we have a lot of my husband's relatives are coming in through the beginning
Mm.
of first 2 weeks. And again, the only reason why I'm gonna be back here is because of this meeting, and I had something going on the 13th. So
I'd like-
don't include me, because I'm too limited at this point.
On the 10th, can we do Kennard and Miriam Daggett both? It'd be short.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to do
Are
those
you gonna be the
sometime,
tour
but-
guide? Since I
Well, I'll
don't know
invite
these
Celia.
properties either. I don't know.
Yeah, I know where
I
they
know
are.
Kennard a bit, but not.
I always
not
miss
Mary
out on
Daggett.
those
I'll
two,
just
'cause I'm
drop
never around.
cracker crumbs so we don't get lost.
Is Kennard off Winter? Is that the,
No,
No, it's on
uh,
Kennard Road.
Kennard
no,
Road.
but is Winter have, is that the road you were talking
No,
about?
no,
Oh, the new road? That one guy that bought the lot? The,
No.
private road?
It's an old road, Winter.
But I think it's a
Where's that?
private road.
Cuts between Kennard, yeah, Kennard
Yes,
and,
yes.
Route 4.
Oh,
Oh,
I've never
no.
been on that.
Kennard and Route 4.
Winter.
But Winter, I think, goes the other way, goes south up of Kennard.
Oh, between Precinct?
Yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
Trying to think what's going the other way.
But anyway, we wouldn't
9
be
a.m.?
applying for a grant till next spring anyway,
Right,
so,
9 AM?
sure.
I actually talked to the Daggett family.
Yeah?
for some
Oh, is
other
that
reason.
right?
And she was telling me about the land she'd left the town. They're under the impression it's already been turned into something.
No, no.
I was like,
Oh.
no.
The award that they got, the conservation easement through NRCS, really restricts what can be done. You know, you can't cut down the trees to do farming, to
For a
grow
trail, though?
crops.
Can a trail be put in
I
there?
think that it was written into the codicil, the state codicil, when the conservation easement was determined that we could have a trail.
Okay.
Basically, that's
So
it.
that sounds like the owner really would like that to happen.
No, the town owns it.
I understand,
Yeah,
but
but
you were
she-
saying
they
Mrs.
sold
Daggett
The
would,
the previous
would
owner.
Yeah, they
appreciate
were
it.
the previous.
owner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
well,
previous
that's what I meant, the
Yeah.
person who donated it or sold it to the town
Yes.
Hmm.
would
And it's
appreciate
right off the
having
North
that
River, it's very
developed, so,
lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did it under those conditions.
with that understanding.
That there would be a trail there for people to,
A
Well,
park.
then that's a
They're
na-
under the
that's a
impression it's a
natural then.
park right now.
a park,
A park.
Hmm,
Yes, definitely not a park.
wonder what kind of
No,
park
it's-
they were looking at.
Okay.
It's part of our Four Generals Greenway.
Call that a park. It is a park. The animals are enjoying that park right now.
It's a wildlife park.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just writing down notes so we don't forget.
Okay.
You know how to-
So you're saying 10th?
Yeah, the 7th and the 10th. The 7th for
Oh,
Mulligan,
Daggett? Yeah.
which you probably already know, and then the 10th for the Kennard and Miriam Daggett. And if you can make it, Paul, you can carpool with me.
Kennard and
But I'm just
Daggett.
gonna email everybody. And I'll contact, the owners of these properties, ASAP. And then we can report back on the 14th
Yeah.
Okay,
and see what we find out.
okay, that sounds reasonable. Okay.
And, yeah, maybe it'd be nice if Crystal could come and maybe.
And we could
explore
also
it with-
say, if you can't make it and you have a whim to go explore one of these properties on
That
your own, because I may go to
sounds-
Mulligan, I haven't
found
been
this
there in a
in
while, I might try
No,
to
I wish you could
Ho-
join us.
I don't
go
know
up.
who's-
I can't, it's,
It'd be fun to have you.
I know,
I don't
but I'll be
know.
up Maine, so.
Who is this?
A lot of competing, well, we'll go out
That's,
there.
he's from the drinking water and groundwater.
We're all going in different directions.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there in a while, so I should make a.
I'm going to Maine on the 11th.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh,
Cross
just give him a
paths.
call, see what he wants. You know,
Well,
we could-
I'm trying to find out who left this on it.
Oh, that's
hey,
probably
Sam.
Dawn.
Was it Don?
It's,
Okay.
have a chat about the town website.
Just go in and see what she wants. It's probably Dawn.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, okay, we got a, we allowed Deb to go out and purchase a pop-up, the 10-by-10 instant canopy, which she has brought in today.
For a bargain price.
For a bargain price, it was like, what, $40?
It was originally 99, I got it for 59.
Yeah, so we have money in the budget to pay for this, because our old one is kaput, or at least the frame is kaput.
$59.99.
Right. So if somebody would,
I move that we reimburse Deb Kimball $59.99 for the purchase of a 10-by-10 canopy for the Conservation Commission.
A second that?
second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain?
I abstained.
Oh, you abstain, okay, one abstention.
Still have a quorum.
Well, that's all right.
2, 3, 4. 4 up, 1 0.
Okay. Get that, work on that paperwork.
Okay,
Are we good?
let's put my name here somewhere. Good.
Yeah, okay.
There's no little form to fill out?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
he takes
those.
it.
those are-
Okay, thank you,
those are
Sam.
back.
Way back we used to.
He's a pro at that.
Did you want to mention this out loud?
I'll just,
Probably not.
Let's just go back to Paul.
probably,
good, thank you.
probably not at this point.
I think
I'll,
she'd given, is that all the same thing? Yeah.
Yeah, there were several different
Yeah.
things. Did everybody have a chance to look at the response from Shea Concrete?
No.
No. When was that?
Did you send it out?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
I can resend it.
When did you send that out?
Like July 17th. I can resend it. There's 16 pages total. And
Next meeting.
this is the application, the wetlands application up off Route 4. And this came from William Gregsack in response to Dory Wiggins, who had requested new maps and responding to the Nottingham Conservation Commission's concern. So I'll just resend that so you can all take a look.
Talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much time they have, but it seems to be pretty good. And we only have 60 days anyway to extend the application. We had already asked it, for that to be done,
okay.
so I think we're good.
That was on the 17th, you sent that out?
Yeah. Or I might have come in the 17th, but I don't,
What's the letter was?
the July 17th.
Oh, July 17th, okay.
But I might have sent it out, I don't look at my email every day. But I also sent copies to Joanna on planning board, and she said she gets them anyway.
I don't remember seeing it, I'm looking at,
I don't remember seeing.
Yeah.
It was like 5
Email.
attachments.
well, I'm looking at 7/17, and unless
No,
I deleted it
It
accidentally.
might not have been on that date, it might have been afterwards, Deb. That was the
After.
date it came in.
Did you have it under another thing, like info on moose plates, kiosk?
No, I tried to do the
So you did say it was,
subject matter.
yeah, nope. but-
Maybe it didn't make it out of your
Yeah,
computer, because
Yeah.
nope, agenda for Monday,
I would have
that's,
thought I would
that
have
was
seen it.
last
Yeah,
Thursday.
kiosk.
You know
type
what?
kiosk.
When was the 17th? We
week ago,
we lost
maybe?
our modem during that thunderstorm.
That's right. Might
Yeah,
have been something
that
that
could
just
be
kind of
it,
got.
because I would
bet
have
that's
seen
what
it.
Fried, yeah.
That was,
Yeah,
that was
maybe-
last
We
Monday.
had to replace a couple
That was
of
last
things.
Monday,
Yeah,
17th.
I'll bet that's
No,
on.
but we had to wait to replace all of that stuff on the computer.
yeah, I'm looking at all mine, and there's nothing in here, Kennard, info on
There's a
moose
lot of other
plate,
emails.
So I'll resend that.
road maintenance.
Okay.
Nothing.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, that would have been last week, Monday.
Or sometime thereafter.
Okay.
Okay.
What-
Okay, do we have anything else we need to talk about?
I just want to mention one thing about that kiosk thing. If we see that, we have a need for a kiosk at some place like John's or something and wanna try it out, I wonder if we could use, would that be acceptable, if we had money in the funds, but maybe next year or something, to use monies from the conservation fund
I would say no,
to fund one kiosk?
because we had been asked by the PLIA, not to step on anybody's toes, to help fund, the algae program, the Check the Boats program, because it was conservation. And, I believe Sam checked with the Conservation Commission person at the state, and they said, really, the best use of the dedicated use of conservation funds money is for the purchase of land.
Okay.
Because
And
it comes
the town
into,
already contributes money to
Yeah.
that program. to
and the land use
boat
change tax
inspections.
means land that has been lost to open space, so it
Okay.
should be redirected to saving open space.
I was just
Was this
thinking
the
it's,
milfoil
it's,
program as opposed to the boat inspection program? Lake hosting is the boat inspection.
Yeah, lake
program.
hosting, I think that's
Okay,
right.
because I can see how that wouldn't be appropriate, but the spread of the milfoil specifically in the
No,
lake.
this was prior to that. This was,
Okay.
it was the lake host program.
No,
I don't know if you thought about approaching like the Eagle Scouts or Co-Brown about possibly meeting with.
right.
Co-Brown students do their senior projects. And they do some pretty
Pretty good,
pretty
right?
big projects.
yeah.
That might be something a student
Yeah,
would be interested
that's a good idea.
Because that's what Zach did when he did the trail, that was for
Mm.
his senior project.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have a question too about that. With the progress with the, you had sent a letter to, about the invasive plant control, help with the invasive plant control.
Yes, yes.
And I was curious about what they use when they go in there.
I don't know what the chemicals they use.
But is there any way we can ask them what, have they replied?
Who's they?
You wrote a letter to the person who's supposed to be the invasive plant specialist.
Yes, he did reply.
And,
My question came from the Transportation Subcommittee of the Planning Board.
right,
And so I directed that information to the chairman of the planning board, to Sam, to the secretary of the planning board, and to Chris Sterndale.
oh, I thought you wrote,
And I might have CC'd you
you,
guys too.
you sent an email to DES about,
Doug Saigan.
yeah. And you
And
said in that
He did
that,
reply.
okay, and you said they would try to look at those areas, or
No, he said if the town is spreading
invasive plants?
invasive plants by their maintenance program, then they are in violation of the law and they can be fined.
Okay,
Second thing, if you need to have somebody on your road crew licensed to use chemicals or hire out.
yeah, you can't do it without a permit. to-
Yeah, I know that.
Right, so, so the solution is,
Well, it doesn't,
we can't do
the
anything.
solution is not here, it's not at planning board, it will end up with the Board of Selectmen.
Right now, they're hiring somebody for
Right,
that
but they need
job,
to know.
so,
You know, this has been
Yeah.
an issue for years and years.
Well, yeah,
And I'm sorry, I just said, this is the way it is, we gotta do something.
yeah.
And if
That's good.
people are upset, that's too bad, it's too late.
well,
Right,
my
but it
question
keeps
is,
spreading
You know,
out.
approaching 70 does a lot for you.
if everybody's pointing the
Shyness.
finger, since the gravel from the town, now we were gonna have a turtle sign up on Berry Road. And that whole area where all the Blandings turtles are is now completely covered with Japanese knotweed. And it's all the way down the road now, and they've hot topped the road. So we can't do anything about it. And then the DES has to go in and control it.
Yeah, but it has,
And
No, no,
put-
not DES, a private contractor.
Oh,
I know.
so,
unfortunately.
So it was shutting the barn door after the horses escaped, Paul.
Sometimes
Right.
after a
That is what
construction
got me
project.
going, because it's,
Oh,
Couple
so we
enough is
can't,
enough.
we can't do anything.
All on Freeman.
Not,
basically.
well, you can
When they,
kill the
well,
plants
and
that are
also
there
when they
by hiring
redid,
somebody.
way back
But you
for the
can't
floods,
untar the
10
road.
years ago now.
Yeah.
When the road blew
See
out.
what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, I understand that,
Construct the
but it
road.
just
They
seems like
have bamboo
bridge
there,
it continue to happen
and
because,
they, where the
there's
bridge
no-
is, when they
Well, the
reconstructed it.
next,
Now it's all over
Now
that
there's
bridge
bamboo
area.
everywhere
Subcommittee
because they
meeting.
brought in
Talking
dirty,
about,
they bring
more
in dirty
restrictions
fill.
for scenic
And the
roads,
fill
and
just
one of
has
those
to have
could be
little
no more
tiny
widening.
pieces, cause that
Scenic
stuff
roads
is
can only
nasty.
be this wide.
Just a little
No
tiny piece
tarring.
of the plant, the
Okay.
little root.
So, but that's
That's
what
all
we're
it
working on
takes,
with the
and so it'll
subcommittee,
be
because
in the
people are just
soil that
up
they
in
bring.
but
arms.
it's a
And
selectman
boom,
responsibility
pops up.
to.
No, it's
So
planning board.
sadly, it's
It's
been
planning board
spreading
making those
because of-
regulations.
and they're-
It's the selectmen's
the state
responsibility to pay
even
for the
has changed their
eradication.
mowing
Japanese
practices
snow.
due to that.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's still
This is
a
a
lot of town or
multi-pronged
state officials, it's been a
approach
slow
to a lot of
process
issues.
trying to control it.
Okay.
What's it called?
Japanese knotweed.
I'm like,
KNOT.
well, how do we have bamboo and not? Because it looks like, but I'm like, but it doesn't.
It's
Like,
actually
that-
It used to
little
be
bit
called
different from
Japanese bamboo.
Yeah.
It has a tubular stem
Yeah.
and it breaks
yeah.
like that. And kids used to use it for, but it's,
Yeah.
it's now
It is difficult to eradicate. I know
everywhere.
Spiniff has it behind, it's right on, what, the Merrimack River behind their building in Concord. And they gave up because they were like, it is just all over the bank, and they just said, there's no way we just, we're just gonna live with it and try not to spread it, and that's about all they could do.
DOT did something, however, if you recall, there used to be a huge amount of it in the median on 101
And on the side,
and on the side, and it's not there anymore.
they
So
sprayed it. They cut it and they sprayed it,
Yeah.
and it killed it. It was about a
hasn't-
mile.
But
It hasn't
they-
really come back.
But
No,
the
it's-
EPA has, by the way, the compound they were using was Roundup.
Mhm.
And the EPA came out just this year, earlier this year, and has said that EPA is no longer an accepted compound, and they're trying to come up with other options. So,
You mean the Roundup or glycophosphate?
yeah,
Like,
and so it's like the whole EPA is in revision now. And so
Yeah.
they're not gonna do anything like that because that's the compound they used.
Mhm.
So that was why I was asking, because if you're using those phosphates, you just
have to see what happens.
have to see what happens.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Will we adjourn?
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
All those in
I'll let
favor?
Paul second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Night,
Nobody wants
everybody.
to stay
Night.
home.
It's 8:07 essentially.